Before even starting the Halo Infinite campaign, I knew it was going to leave its traditional on-rails type of experience and go into a sandbox type of gameplay. And I was expecting it to be okay. I didn't have high hopes, I didn't expect the worst, but after playing the campaign, it was pretty bad. In previous installments of Halo, we got rich story-driven gameplay with many environmental set pieces with scripted action all around us. Halo Infinite, on the other hand, has a sandbox playground on the surface and literally gray hallways that lead to exposition holograms beneath that surface. Half of the story-driven levels, which are the most important to me, which is why I've played Halo, feel like they've been put off to the side, in this case literally put underground, and are just gray hallways littered with random enemies with no rhyme or reason and no scripted action. It's just these sandboxy type levels where you just go through them, kill enemies, get exposition, kill a boss, and that's it. There's no scorpion tanks riding with you attacking scarabs. There's no boarding a command ship. It's just gray hallways, infantry fights, exposition, the end. And so much of the exposition is painful to sit through when it's just you sitting in front of a hologram while it's dumped on you. So even though they sacrifice the quality of the story missions, I don't see improved quality in the sandbox experience. And I'll talk specifically about the side missions first because that was this game's chance to really flesh out the world and make it feel alive and connect you to it. So let's start with the side missions where you have to save UNSC Marines around the map. And specifically in this case the one where they are trapped on an island surrounded by void. And when I got here, I really was expecting some kind of dialogue from the Marines, like, "We've been stuck here, thank you for saving us," but it was just a carbon copy of all the other missions. You go in there, kill some banished, rescue them, they say, "Thanks, Chief," and then they just stand there. And then I realized, like, how shallow it all was. The game did nothing to make you feel like you actually saved these guys, because you never end up seeing them again. They either despawn or you can take them with you for as long as possible and they'll eventually die. But in the end, you'll never see them again. Which is a shame because it would have been so easy to fix this. How amazing would it have been if a pelican came in, took all the Marines and took them to a nearby outpost, and now they are the ones manning that outpost. Depending on how many people you save, depends on how many people are going to be at that outpost that's nearby. Now sometimes the game comes close. After doing the mission, the tower, a nearby fob, will have Marines mention the tower in audio clips. They'll have dialogue such as, "Wow, this is so much better than the tower." And they'll say that at these fobs. Now that's close to immersing you. You know, they're referencing to a past mission you've done. The only problem is these aren't the Marines you saved. They're just spawned in, randomly dressed up in whatever clothing and whatever you have unlocked, and they're just there. They're not even close to attached to the previous mission you've done. But all this really hurts me the most. You know, it's not even the main missions that are so abysmal that hurt the most. It's these side missions because even the first Halo game, Halo Combat Evolved, I was obsessed with saving every single NPC. During the beach landing, I would reload the mission if anybody died. And at the beginning of my playthrough, I was very much like this. At one point saved 9 Marines that were following me around. But the problem was, as I kept playing, I realized how pointless this was because only 5 can follow you. And once you get to an outpost, they can't stay there. You can't order them to stay and guard the outpost, and you can't come and visit them and be like, "Those are the guys I saved you guys." I mean, for God's sakes, if I save these Marines and hike them to an outpost and wait for them to follow me by walking, I want them to be there when I get back. I don't want them to just disappear. Now you may say, now this is such a tiny thing. Why is this like affecting you so much? It's because these tiny things add up. They could have put a little bit of effort into the sandbox experience, since obviously they didn't put any effort into the main storyline objectives and missions. So there's really not much to say about these missions. Nothing blew me away, nothing surprised me. It was random enemies with extra health and health bars above their head, and my strategy was to just take a Razorback full of Marines with sniper rifles and kill them. It was not, they were just randomly placed among the map, and it was uneventful and uninspiring. There's not much to say about it. Finally, I just want to talk about how I would have changed a lot of things to make the game a lot better. Starting with the vehicle combat and vehicle gameplay. I'm amazed no one has noticed that there's not a single point in the game where there's NPCs, other Marines, driving around with you. You can be in a tank, but there will be no other vehicles around you. It will just be you. If you get out of a Warthog and get into another one, the Marines will follow you into that one. But at no point will there be other Marines in vehicles fighting with you. And that just amazes me, because we have had so many Halo games where that's just common occurrence around us. It's just a shame that you'll never see UNSC Marines driving around in Warthogs shooting at enemies. You're just not gonna see it in Halo Infinite. And while we're on the topic of vehicles and Marines, Marines will never get on a tank like they could in previous installments in the Halo series. It's just, get on the tank. Come on, just get on the tank. Instead of talking about every above ground and outpost mission in Halo Infinite, I just want to talk about how I wish they played out. And so I'll just give an example of a mission I thought would be really cool to see in the game. So you have Outpost Tremonius, which is like the main bastion for all the leftover UNSC left on Halo Zeta. And so it would be cool to have a mission where you had the Banished find this outpost and attack it. So it could be a triggered event when you show up there. It locks you in there. If you try and leave, it'll give you that sign like you're leaving the battlefield, you have to return. So you're defending the outpost and you're killing enemies that are being dropped off, and then you'll be given the objective to go into the ship and reactivate the cannons that are on the side of the hull. And once you do, it'll fend off the Banish attack, and the UNSC will be able to escape from there. So after that, you can be given the mission later that the UNSC will need a new headquarters, and you'll need to commandeer the AA guns that normally you would have destroyed in the campaign. Now, instead of destroying them, by commandeering them, you give that area a sense of protection, which gives an excuse to why the Banished don't attack that region. You'll have used their own AA guns against them. And that fits into the whole theme of like guerrilla style warfare against a stronger enemy. But more importantly, it has a mission other than going to place A and destroying objective B. I mean, let's just look at two of the outposts that are in this game. Here's one. Here's another. Those are two different outposts. And of course, they're all slightly different. They're not all just raise these silos and destroy them, but they pretty much all play out the same way. You don't go into any of the missions and have something unexpected and exciting happen in the middle of them. You're gonna go in, enemies are gonna come from dropships, you kill them all, and you destroy something at that outpost. That's it. Halo Infinite sacrificed its amazing single-player campaigns to give us a garbage sandbox experience.